Hello, my name is Lynn Everard, and I would like to welcome you to the first episode of a four-part series called Balancing Our Energies. Today, we are going to talk about balancing the energies within us as the masculine and feminine. So, within each of us, whether we are male or female, or however we identify, we have two energies. These are known as the masculine and the feminine, and also known as the divine masculine and divine feminine. For many of us, they exist without us even being aware of them, but each one has certain characteristics. For example, the masculine is about doing. This includes task completion, setting goals, getting things done. The feminine is about being, receiving, allowing, flowing, and creating. Each of us has both energies within us. It is important to understand that for us to operate in our lives in full balance and complete choice, it is necessary for us to embrace both energies, even if we tend to use one more than the other, which most of us do, by the way. By integrating and balancing them, we are able to choose the most appropriate and effective energy in any given moment. One of the things that has happened in our world is that many of us as men have not embraced our divine feminine aspect. This keeps us out of balance and limits our expression of our emotions, including some of the most positive emotions and ways of being, such as joy. Many of us as men seem to limit our emotional vocabulary to a single emotion, anger. We are often unable to go below the surface of the anger to locate the source of it, which could be sadness, grief, unresolved shame, and guilt. All we know is that it feels bad to us and we don't like it. So then that's when the anger comes out. Have you ever met someone who worked their entire life literally giving everything to their work and perhaps even neglecting their family in the process, but died having never experienced the fruits of their labors and never being able to savor the rewards they worked so hard to achieve? If you think closely, you probably have family members, maybe people that you're even living with today, who you see them as living that life. This happens in both men and women, but probably more in men. You see, it is the masculine that does the hard work, and it is the feminine that is capable of receiving the reward and truly celebrating our success. And again, I want to remind you that this is not man, woman, this is masculine energy, feminine energy. And we are all have both, regardless of who we are. Now, many of us as men fear the divine feminine within us because we don't understand it. As a result, we do not open ourselves to it. And without it, we cannot live a fully integrated life where both hard work and reaping the rewards of that hard work coexist in peace and harmony. As people, we often fear what we do not understand. As men, we have learned to fear women because we do not understand them. This subconscious fear causes us to seek control, to manipulate and dominate women. And even though most of us would readily admit that we do not understand women, many of us nonetheless believe that women need fixing, as we secretly lament the absence of an instruction or repair manual. And sometimes we get so frustrated with our own lack of understanding that we decide women must be the problem, and maybe maybe we would be better off if we pretended they simply did not even exist. This surely must be the origin of the MGTOW, also known as Men Going Their Own Way movement. Our fear prevents us from looking within ourselves. And had we done so, we may have discovered the feminine aspect within us as men. Had we been brave enough to explore just a bit more deeply, we may have discovered the loving being side of ourselves that would have allowed us to have more of us to enjoy the fruits of our labors. In our search, we may have realized that a woman is more like a piece of fine art that is made to be appreciated and valued. but our fear may have, in the most extreme cases, caused us to place more value on a $20 toaster than on a Monet or a Picasso. In the world we created as men, we placed far more value on a woman's usefulness as a sexual partner, as a mother to produce and raise our children and take care of the home. But that limited view fails to fully consider the intrinsic value of women as fellow spiritual and human beings. In our short-sightedness, we made a world that is failing under its own, or under the weight of its bias against the feminine. The world we made as men no longer works, if it ever really did. Today, we're slowly beginning to understand that our world needs a loving and nurturing mother to replace the abusive and disconnected men who are fathers and creators of this often unloving world. It is time for the divine feminine to rise up and lead. Unfortunately, it's not quite that simple. In part 2, we will discuss the obstacles that stand in the way of the return of the divine feminine. Thank you for joining me, and I invite you to join me for part 2. Have a great day.